Okay, so let's talk about custom event property mapping. If I had to guess what is one of the most important tuning aspects of QRadar Advisor with Watson, I would say custom event property mapping. And the reason is because every environment is different, and it helps QRadar know what is what in your environment. So you should really not glaze over this step. And actually, you should actually rerun the custom property wizard every time you add a new log source. And the reason is because you add a new log source, and they will come with some default custom event properties. And what you should do is actually look at your new log sources, see if there's any data that can be extracted using the custom event property, primarily source and des IPs, hashes, domains, and URLs. Those are the four types of data, the main types of data that Advisor keys off of, right? And obviously secondary would be usernames, AV signatures, and file names as well, right? So every time you add a new log source, look, see if there's any data not being extracted, such as IPs, hashes, domains, URLs. And if there is, make sure you map your custom event property and then rerun your custom event property wizard in the QRaw config. I'm going to show you that in a few seconds. Right? And one thing to note, and I'm going to show you this again as well, is that when you're mapping custom properties of a new log source, try to map them to an existing custom event property, because that's how QRadar custom event properties works. You can have one, there is already a custom event property called file hash. And so when you extract a new property from a new log source, you can actually map it to that custom event property such that if it's already mapped in QRaw, it'll be picked up automatically. If you call it something else, create a brand new custom event property, then just go into the custom event property wizard and run it, and it should pick up the suggestion. So let's take a look at custom event properties for QRaw. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to look at some existing properties. And so I typed in hash, and I created one called example hash. So I did this before this demo. Right, so I called it example hash, and I went looking for a hash file. And so I got that. So now, when I go into the admin screen, and I scroll way to the bottom to the QRadar Advisor with Watson configuration. Let me make this a bit bigger. Right, and I go to property mapping, see how it turned yellow. I click on radio. You can see I have two suggested custom event properties, one being the example hash, right? They're both suggested. So now, if I clicked on optional settings, it would save it, or I can go over and click on save properties, and that would save it. Now, if I want to add one manually, I just have to select the source type, which in this case would be events, right? So say example hash wasn't a suggestion in the hash, and then I got to scroll down, and I would find example hash or my new custom event property, and I would click add, right? And I would save properties or click on the optional settings, which would save it automatically, and that would be done. So let me close this. And the other thing I want to show you, if I go over to event details, let's say if I want to extract a new property of this event, let's say it's a brand new log source, brand new event I haven't seen before, and there's let's see, look at the payload here. Let's go over, scroll over for a second, scroll way over, and there's a hash in here. And let's say this hash wasn't mapped already, and I want to extract that. I just go on the top and click extract property. Let's see if you get the payload here. You can scroll down. There's the hash I want right here, right? And so now this is important. So click existing property, right? And then you scroll down. And in this case, if I was doing a hash file, I would click file hash right there. And then I would scroll down and put my regex in. Oh, sorry. Make sure you get the right file type, and then you scroll down and you put your regex in. And you do test, and then when I click test over here, you're going to see it pops up, extracts that. Yeah, and then that's all there is to it. And then you can go back and make sure that that's mapped inside QRaw.